Hello everyone, this is Edgar with Joe's Gaming and Electronics, and today I'll be showing you how to replace your left hinge swivel arm on your Bose Ultras. The tools you'll need for this is soldering iron, soldering paste, a Phillips 2.0, prying tool, this torque screw, just because there's a screw in there you'll see later, and tweezers. I use this for the soldering. Grabbing every single tiny wire with your hands is a little difficult, so this just makes it easier to place properly. And all the tools will be in the description, as well as the schematics for the soldering. First, we're gonna start off with taking off the ear pad. It sits on clips, so it's easy as that, just popping it off, pulling this off. And here we will have 4 screws. Once we get that off, pop this up nice and slowly as the speaker cup is clipped in right there. And grab this, pop that up, and then you can pull this out, put this aside to be out the way. Next, we'll want to unsolder all the wires off the main board. First, just so you don't have to have the schematics, what you can do is grab your iPhone or any phone you have and take a picture of all the wires, just so you know where to place the wires back in. And I do this in 2 steps. I take a picture of the main wires that I see here first, the top 2 rows. Then once I take those top 2 rows off, I take another photo of the ones at the bottom, just because the wires are very mixed and like twirled around and hard to see. Now you want to grab your soldering paste and place on a little bit on every point you'll be unsoldering. Just a little bit, not a lot needed. This is where these come in handy. And your soldering. Your soldering iron will be set to 500 degrees Celsius. And you'll grab each wire and pull it off. You only need to have the soldering iron on each point for about 2 seconds max. If it's longer than that, you could ruin the board, so you gotta be careful. Make sure it's set to 500, so it only takes a few seconds, like that. Now that I got that portion off, I will take another photo of the next portion, just so it's easier to solder back on. Alright, should be as easy as that. Next, we want to unscrew this screw sitting right here. It is a T6. Once you get to a certain length, I'm pretty sure you can use your fingers. If not, you'll have to just keep going in, keep going at it. There you go, get that out the way. Now, you got 2 options. You could unscrew the main board just to pull the wires through a lot easier, which, you know, I would say this is the best option. You'd want to pop these clips off usually, but since they're glued down, you just don't want to mess with it, so you could just lift it a little bit like this, enough to where you can pull the wire, the main wire, through this little hole right there. Now that you got this side off with that screw gone, you have more flexibility. And next, you'll see there's this metal thing right here holding this down. You want to pop that off. Like that. Just create a gap so you can pull it off. Just so this can pop out of place. Put some pressure on it and it'll pop right out of place. You want to pick up the main board, grab your wire, there you go, nice and easy. Grab that and push it out of place, just like that. Put this to the side as well. Now I want to grab the wire, pull it out just like that, bend this down. You'll see 2 more screws right here.
Hey, this is Joe from the Sauna. If this video brought you value, please support us by buying parts, tools, refurbished electronics, or sending your device in for repair so we can keep offering you free repair tutorials. Back to the video.
Now we want to pop these out to the side like that. Just put a little pressure like this. Pop this out as well. There goes with these. And now here comes the easy part. You just pull on this. It should pop out just like that. Make sure to not lose this little metal piece. Make sure the wire's nice and straight. And you can pull it through now. If this is broken, toss this one out, grab your new one. Here's the fun part of this situation. First, you'll see this little rubber piece on these wires. This rubber piece separates, I think, the bottom half and the top half wires. So it makes it a little bit easier when you're soldering on, you know, these go on the bottom, these go on the top, or the vice versa. But you wanna make sure you pull that all the way down. Then grab all the wires together. Spin them up a little bit. Now you're gonna wanna fit them right through that hole. This part might take a couple tries. It's not always perfect, and you wanna be a little bit careful. You wanna try getting as much wires through on the first try as possible. So they're all through, and then pull on it. See, this wire didn't go through all the way. Has a couple frays, but these wires are pretty strong, so that should not have an issue. But yeah, you want to be careful pulling them through. You can give it a couple tries, make sure all the wires are through. You don't have any stranglers left behind, because then they'll bend in there and you could tear a wire, but I have yet to have that happen to me. Now you want to pull this wire through, and first we're going to set the wire in. To make sure you know how much length goes back into here, you want to set the wire to where it has this bend. This bend goes perfectly into here. Once that is set, you know, all right, the rest can go back in. Just like that. Now we are set with what we need. And the rest will be pushed back in here, so when you're opening and closing this, there's enough wire to go around. Now here's the fun part. Placing this back in. You want to get this little metal piece into here, that little hole, but there's nothing holding it in there, so it will fall out the other side. You gotta put your finger there, and you can see there's little rivets on here. Or if you can see that little dents, those will be laying flat. So once, this is probably the hardest part about the repair, is that little metal piece, and it is very annoying. This will be a hard angle for me to show you guys, but you can tell we got that laying down. Get that as flat as possible. Make sure that little metal piece is flat like that, nothing sticking up. Then you can just push it. If you got the metal piece flat enough, if it's having difficulty going in there, that means that little fun little metal piece is not all the way in. There you go. Yeah, it's gonna be very annoying your first try, as nothing's holding that little metal piece down, so it just slides right out. Now to place these little plastics back in, want to make sure it's not upside down, so you gotta have the hole there, and then just like that, place one side in, just like that. You'll place the second side in, grab your two screws. Let's say for some reason you forget this step and you do not put these in. That is not a big issue, as you can put them in at any time of the repair. You don't need to take it all the way apart to put these screws in. The only reason we take this apart to this particular spot is because we got to get the main wire out to place the new hinge swivel in. Now that we're here, we can bring the cup back in. Oh yeah, we gotta make sure that this side, when placing down, is up, and the swivel only goes like this, so both sides are equal. Because you could place the wire, see, oh, the wire goes through right here, but then we have the mistake of it being upside down. So you wanna make sure this is down, flat. Then you turn this where the hole right here where the wire goes through is level, and the top part, the Bose logo right here, is flat down on the ground, just like this side. Now, same thing, Want to get all the wires crinkled up and through this hole. Once you got that side in, you can place this through, make sure it's leveled and in its location, in its spot. Now you want to grab this, make sure to set it back to where it's supposed to be. I would say the easiest part is try to get it in first and get a couple twists so it goes in, because if not, it's difficult with this piece because it's so magnetic to get it in. Try with your fingers your best to try to get a couple screws in until it's in there, which I'm having a very difficult time with. Should have done this from the beginning. Don't know why my brain is not working. Now we can get a couple screws in there. Now we're set to screw it right in. It just sucks they put this kind of screw randomly in the side when they could have used any other screw. But that's Bose for you. There you go. Don't want to put too much pressure. Once it doesn't want to screw in any further, don't put any more pressure in it. Just let it be. And you're set. Now you want to get this main wire underneath the board and out this other side. Pull it through nice and carefully. Try not to puncture the battery or pull any of the other wires out. Just like that. Move that to this side. Now we can place the main board back into its original location. You'll see right here, there's a small little divot. That's where you want this plastic piece to be. Now we can screw the main board back in. Actually, first, I want to make sure the wires are like this. Now we can screw the main board back in. Now we have this horseshoe left over. I personally, on the repairs we've done, we've run tests. Putting this back on does not change anything, because with this screwed in really tightly on this side, you can't, no matter what you do, you can't pull that side out unless you're actually tearing it apart. So I do not put this back in. Plus putting this back in and getting it crumped or crammed down in there perfectly is a pain. So we just throw this out. Don't need that no more. It's more for security reasons when the headphones are made, either way. Now I want to refer to the schematics, or if you took photos on your phone, to those. Get those down somewhere where you can see them. And now we'll go wire by wire. A good start is splitting all the wires that are not within the rubber piece with the ones that are. And the ones with the rubber on will go top side. The ones without will go bottom side. So that's how we can start this process. And now I want to get a good angle for soldering, which usually I go like this. And if you like, best case is to put a little bit more solder paste everywhere. It makes the contact points a lot easier to solder back onto. And just follow your schematics to properly solder everything back on. You cannot get a single color wrong, or your headphones are not going to work properly. So we see this wire has some frays in it. Right there, you can see those extra wires. Want to pull those off. They come out pretty easily. Then we can solder this back on. Now you got all those wires soldered on. One thing you could do is grab some propyl. I can't say the word. You know what? Now that you got your soldered points on, just double check to make sure every single one is correct and that they're fully soldered on. You can give each one a tiny pull to make sure it's good. And you can put some alcohol, rubbing alcohol on there to wipe it down for the extra excess solder paste, but that excess solder paste is not an issue. It just will look better. Place that down like this. Grab your speaker cup, get it placed back where it came from, which would be that point right there. Sorry, I keep getting out of frame here. Once it's placed in the correct spot, I want to push that little black plastic piece down, clip it in, press this down, make sure it's nice and flush. And now we screw the speaker cup down. I'm only gonna put 2 screws in. Gotta make sure all those points are good. This back on, and then speaker, your ear cup, ear pad, ear cup, same thing. And you are now completed and done with your repair. Now your headphones should be functioning properly again. Make sure it swivels back and forth, bends up and down. And that is how you replace your left hinge arm swivel on your Bose Ultras. Hope that helped, and everything as in tools and parts will be in the description. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you guys love what we do, please support us. You guys can click on the links that we have on the end screen. You guys can buy parts, sales, or service so we can continue to make great videos for you guys for many more years. Thank you.